Now, for the house, I wanted to make sure that the viewer got a sense of looking up at the house, because we are at eye level with the guy laying on the ground. So I employed a tiny vanishing point, or tiny. It's made with the polygon. If I can see it up here, shape or something like that. No, I can't select it, but it's a star shape, and it's somewhere here above the image, and then just radiating out from that point you have the lines. So I created the house following these vanishing point lines, just to make sure that it was actually correct in perspective. And let's return to page 5 here. I also put in a second vanishing point here on the horizon line, to aid with these sides of the house, in order for that to look decent. I'm not quite happy with this, but I didn't really think of any better way to do it, so I just kept it like that. The roof did prove to be a bit problematic, and I think it's a bit off as well, but it's there and it's being a roof, so I guess that's okay. And then I've just used straight lines for the rest of the things, because linear perspective is back in action now that things aren't bubbles anymore. And then I took those raw sketches and turned them into guys and rendered him out. These were actually quite easy to do. I didn't actually have to do any reference photos for that. It just really fell into place. However, this panel right here was a lot more difficult. I think I drew it 5 times, but I wasn't happy with it, with how he was standing, because I've chosen this quite difficult viewpoint from above him and from the side. So at the end, I actually took a photo of my dear boyfriend again. Let's see, here it is. Let's remove some of this stuff so you can't see it. So yeah, I took that from the balcony. So he's knocking on the door, and I actually just traced it around with lines like that. It's a bit of a sneaky way to do it, or lazy way to do it, but I had tried and I had failed, so I thought it was time for a different approach to make this actually close to the result I wanted. Sometimes you've got to be a bit, time efficient with what you're trying to do. So let's see. Whoa. So many layers here. Okay, cool. Then I put in his face and made sure that his shirt is still open. He's not wearing his tie anymore, as you can see. Well, the tie is kind of hanging loose. I kept that, and he looks a bit rough, but he's very happy. This one, they weren't too difficult actually, the rest of the page, but I did spend quite a lot of time constructing this perspective, and finally refined the text. Let's see if we can find that one. Yeah, so that's a bit of trial and error making the text, but I'd done that already with the other pages, so we're not too fussed about that. So moving on to page 6 is someone opens the door, and it's not his wife or his child, and he goes, "What do you want?" And our main character is offended. He's like, "What? Who the hell are you? Get out of my house!" And Christ, go back to the asylum you escaped from, because this guy obviously lives here. He thinks, what a nutter, be waking me up early in the morning on a Sunday or whatever day it was. You know, he's pretty pissed off. And I made sure that he doesn't really look too attractive anyway. He's just getting out of bed, and he's not happy to see this guy. I had a couple of different versions of the dialogue going on. Like, one of them would be, "No, I'm not buying anything, go away." But it would be weird for a door seller to turn up in a ruffled up shirt and with a tie kind of hanging loose and really early in the morning, so I thought that was a little bit weird. This allusion to him being mentally ill or just batshit insane is a bit more suitable to the situation, I think. So they have this short conversation, and the guy in the house slams the door. You have the big slam and the curls from that. It's a rather simple page, so to speak, because it only has 2 panels. Again, I did spend a bit of time doing the did spend a bit of time making the perspective work in this one. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, here we are. These lines showing how the door, because the door is turning away from the viewer, then the door will have a vanishing point like that, and it will be different from the vanishing point of the wall. So I made the door just with these lines. I didn't really bother making it completely accurate, but it did take a while just to get the lines right. I redid them quite a bunch of times to do that. Let's see. Yeah, a couple of sketches. Let's see. I've got a sketch layer here. Let's take away some of these others. Wait. Oh, that was the whole door group. Handles, lines. So you have here from the beginning, again, a very basic kind of sketch where I just sketched out his body. You have the pelvis, the torso, and made sure to put some foreshortening lines on here because his arm is pointing a bit towards the viewer. So this is just for myself to be sure where his arm is in space. So on top of these rough lines, I put in, just using the line tool, you get the really straight lines, and then sketched out that. I didn't really feel I need to refine this all that much, because when I put in the colors, I thought it looked like it's supposed to look anyway, so I kept it like that. And the text obviously is the last thing to come on top. I changed the colors of the text a couple of times because I wasn't happy with how it turned out. It has a lot to do with, you know, what kind of person is saying text that is in this kind of dirty greenish color, you know. What kind of person is that? That's kind of a he's not very happy, he's not very impressed, he's bored, he's angry, like grumpy, you know. And this is more the more angry colors, kind of, because he's really like what yeah, he's up there, his emotions are running at double speed, so the colors needed to be quite harsh as well. So here's an earlier version where I haven't really finished out the head yet. You saw on the other one I had like a sketch of the head because I wasn't sure of that. You have him standing here, no colors yet, and this is an older version of the dialogue. It goes, "No, I'm still not buying shit. Haven't your colleagues had enough of pestering me? But Marie and David, are they here? What the hell are you talking about? You and your lot know full well that I've lived here alone for the past 3 years. And I scram." It came off wrong to me. It was, this man wouldn't be like as meek. He wouldn't say that. He'd either be completely quiet or he'd be shouting. So I went for the shouting option, as you saw in the finished dialogue. The guy behind the door I added later. I had a bit of trouble getting him right, but it's really not much of a difference from here to the finished page, because it was pretty much, I pretty much had it in mind, the composition, the placement of things, how things were going to be. I had it in my mind quite a lot from the start, so there's not really much to add there. So let's go back. Let's see. Oh, wait. We would have here. He's got a whole color layer for himself that just kind of stretches in, and then you have all the other things on top. Neat. So that's page 6, and then for the last page, page number 7, which is just his phone floating away in a bubble, being all bubbly, and his phone inside. I did get some feedback on this, that actually they found that this was a bit too quick. Like, you have the slam on the door and then this, where's the connection? And I agree with that criticism. There should be a page between 6 and 7 showing him just standing there, kind of completely lost, maybe, or where he is here instead of the bubble. You could have the guy just standing here, being all lonely and stuff. and then have the bubble show. There was a couple of things about this page didn't really, it seemed a bit too sudden. I personally like the idea that his phone is quietly floating away in a bubble, but the ending is a little bit sudden, but that's kind of what happens when you run out of time, I guess. Another thing, a comment I got, was that, let's have a look, where is the rest of the text? Am I missing some text here? I'm missing some text here. Hang on. Another criticism I got was on this page that someone was annoyed that some of the text was cut off here and there. And I thought, well, really that text isn't too relevant. It's kind of just to give a sense that he's calling different people and nobody's seen his family. But if it's not relevant to me, would it be relevant to the reader? I think the message that he is talking to all these different people is relevant. So that's definitely important. But the actual text that all of them say is not that relevant. I thought about moving them into this page, but I'd have to change it up a little bit. I'm not sure I want to do that, but the criticism has a good point in this. It's annoying. You read something and you look, god damn it, I mean, it's more to get the idea. Okay, they're missing. Nobody's seen them. I thought it worked well, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether it would be a popular approach to do this. I decided not to change it because it seemed like, kind of, first of all, I wasn't sure whether I wanted to change it, and second of all, it seemed a bit hard to make it look nice and not too cluttered at the same time if I change it. So there's that. But if I did those two changes, I think, or maybe not even that, but definitely adding the page between page 6 and 7, that would be a big help to the comic. So when I was done with all these pages, I went online and put them on, so they all have a page here. When you click on it, you get to the page and you can read it from the beginning. I updated all the links, so clicking there will take you back to the very beginning, clicking there will take you to the newest thing, back one step, next step. So it's all, the navigation is working. Updated that. The art section is pretty much the same, although I could put in new artworks now. I have done a couple of things since then, I suppose. The about section, I don't know if I showed you this. I added this as my personal logo that I made. It took me a while to figure out. A lot of people, when they see it, say, oh yeah, I've seen something like that before. Apparently there's a thing in Halo that looks a bit like that, which annoys me because I figured it out myself. And yeah, a little bit of a presentation of me and a link to my online sketchbook on conceptart.org, which you should definitely check out as well, because it shows supporting evidence of lots of other things I've done, digital painting and stuff, all my work, different work I've done. And also has a link to an online portfolio I put together. It's in French at the moment, so a bit sorry about that. So different drawing things I've done, all linked from my site. All of this stuff, old and new, good stuff. Yeah, so I thought the about site page is quite nice now. And then links to other webcomics, because webcomic readers and webcomic creators, they like other webcomics, and I'd like to link to some of the things that I enjoy and that have inspired me. For example, Lovesick, which is a great webcomic. Remember that crazy color scheme on page 2? It's pretty much a direct rip-off of some of this, where you have these strippers and crazy colors and the nightclub going on here. It's great. The page itself, these will be all the changes actually that have happened on it, and yeah, that would be, well, that is the end of the project. So thank you for watching or listening and hanging on to this for so long, and see you in the next one.